everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review. It's the online sports guys college football podcast, where, guess what? We talk about college football. And so the regular season may have ended, but college football in the public eye never, ever, ever stops. And guys, we have so much ground to cover this week. We have a national champion.
Yes, congratulations, South Dakota State.
Yeah, baby.
We have arguably one of the, if not the greatest coach in college football history retiring. We have coaches moving locations. We have players declaring for the draft, players staying back, all kinds of things.
Never heard of any of this.
The only thing missing is Stefan to describe it all.
Dan Cortez.
And we'll start where we left off after last week's episode when we talked about the national championship game. And most of you guys picked, let's just say you didn't pick the winner.
Yes.
Yeah, but give it a month or two.
I don't think that window's come and gone.
It'll be a couple of years. And then
look what Florida State just got for how many level 2s did they have? Oh, did we lose John?
Yeah, when you mentioned Florida State, of course I'm going to die.
Oh, come on back, sir.
You broke your
using them. We're using them as an example.
Yeah, everybody's using them.
I'm just saying, how many level 2s did they have?
Come on.
Michigan just got a notice for 3 level 2s.
Hang on.
Before you start talking about all the hate for Michigan, Marty, because that's your thing, and I get it.
I hate cheaters.
No. Look. All right, so Florida State gets popped for an NIL violation for something that doesn't have any rules to begin with, and then it has to do with the recruiting of Big Mims from Georgia, but literally, it's the Wild West right now anyway. And so what do? You pop a school in the Wild West. Who are you people? What are you doing when it's something that has no rules? You pop somebody for violating something that has no rules. What do you want to bet Jim Phillips was like?
Mr. Baker, sir. Line 1. I'd like for you to pay attention to what's going on in Tallahassee, sir.
Don't tell me for a second that isn't the running gag, that Jim Phillips didn't sit there and go to Charlie Baker and go,
if you could please look at what's going on in Tallahassee right now, sir.
And you come up with something like this. It's insane. Why you did what you did to Florida State just makes them that much angrier. And if you think you're going to end up, oh, no, you can't because, we don't want you anyway. You're violating NIL rules. Look, just divorce already and get it over with. Now to the championship game.
Yes. And I'm just saying, if they get that hammer should drop hard, or they should just disband NCAA because they have zero worth, because they're giving no guidance to anybody. We had a medical thing a few years ago. They did nothing to help any of that. Every school just did what they want, just like the NIL.
Yeah, I'll go on a big limb here. In 5 years from now, you're not going to be talking about the NCAA as an enforcement agency.
Who was the last president of the NCAA? Charlie Baker.
Yeah, and that's a topic for another show. In this show, we're going to talk about the national championship game, a game won by Michigan over a game Washington Huskies team in very, very convincing fashion.
Yeah, Michael Penix, he was not 100%, and he was forced into a lot of mistakes, and it was not pretty.
It was not.
Michigan's offensive line controlled that game and just wore the Huskies down running the ball.
I don't want to know about wearing a Husky down, okay?
Hey, now.
Wow, that's probably the only thing they're not getting charged with lately.
Come on, would he come back?
He was.
They've got like the FBI's investigating, the NCAA's investigating.
Who is they for 500? Who is
Federal Trade Commission's not far behind with all those LLCs that are popping up and disappearing.
Who isn't investigating currently? But I mean, no, it's Michigan. I think that Michigan forced Michael Penix into making a lot of decisions that Yeah, I think that he was working too quickly, and his brain was forced into a lot of decisions that it's uncharacteristic that he made. And the injuries, the injury that he got, I think that he was playing hurt with whatever was going on. I want to say in his right ribs when he took a shot and early on, and I just don't think he was.
Props to him for gutting it out, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that because of that, he wasn't in the pocket the way that we're used to seeing Michael Penix be in the pocket. He was releasing and making decisions that he wouldn't necessarily make, but that all came from the pressure of the Michigan defense and the Michigan offense. They just lined up and punched Washington in the mouth, and it just they were gashing Washington with the running game. And I'm surprised they actually even threw a pass in that game with J.J. McCarthy. Didn't need to.
Yeah, arguably they didn't. They just kind of ground him into dust.
Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Yes. And one other person to big shout out and respect to is Dylan Johnson, the running back from Washington, who played also extremely hurt in that game and still tried to gut it out.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like there were times when you knew he was in, and it would be just as a decoy, and everybody knew it was a decoy, and and he tried to look the part as best he could. But no, big shout out to Washington for making it to the last game of the year
Before they got the disassembled.
Yes,
Yes, which leads us to the next topic of conversation.
See what the
That's a segue, y'all.
That's a transition element.
Woo!
SEGUE.
Not the scoop.
Not to be confused with Segway, the automated bike. That leads us into the next topic, which ended up having a pretty direct effect on the Washington Huskies, and that's the retirement of what Deion Sanders calls the GOAT, Nick Saban.
I mean, of this era, unquestionably. I mean, but then you look at his predecessor at Alabama, Bear Bryant. You look at Newt Rockne and Amos Alonzo Stagg and Eddie Robinson. There are others that in their own time were the greatest of this era, unquestioned. And it just came to the idea of when he was going in and recruiting student athletes, they wanted to know if he was going to be there, for their entire time that they planned on being on campus. And it was just, at 72 years old, he's sitting there and processing, am I going to be here in 3 and 4 and 5 years? And you don't want to sit there and make those kinds of promises to student athletes that you're trying to bring to your institution. And then, if that's not how you're wired as a human being, then you have to make these kinds of decisions. And you could tell in the Alabama Georgia game in the SEC championship, the conversations that have come out. And I would recommend folks, listen to those conversations that have popped up on social media across the board. Just the way that he sounds in his conversations with Kirby Smart about what he's been able to do and the compliments that he's been given to coaching jobs, Marty, and all this kind of stuff. It's just been, it was a rather interesting now that we look back on everything that happened leading up to that moment.
Yeah, I strongly recommend you look up the story that Saban had about recruiting my hometown of Youngstown, Ohio, and talking to Bob Stoops' uncle in a bar that got held up and that they didn't notice got held up because they were arguing football. Go look it up.
Well, look it up. That's a great story.
Just look it up. It's incredible.
Should tell you everything you need to know about the guy.
It tells you everything you need to know about Youngstown and why a lot of people move out.
That too.
I still love that town with all my heart, though.
How do you, in his, what was it, 17-year run at Alabama, how do you top all the accomplishments that he's?
I don't know if in this era, the way that things are going to be structured, I don't know if you can, because you can win your conference championships. And traditionally the playoff structure was a lot more locked in than what it is and what it's going to be. So I don't know if you can have coaches that can have these kinds of runs where I think you can have these runs maybe in a conference setting, and then you're winning all of these championships and such, but then having to take that and go through a 12-team playoff or whatever the hell it's going to look like, at the next television contract.
Yeah, the SEC is going to have 4 teams in each 12-team playoff.
Going to have 11.
That bias ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, they're going to have all the
teams. A minute, I got to go check on the youngest of my 3 dogs. I'll be right back.
Okay, well then Marty and I will filibuster, and we'll just keep talking. And
yes, I think I'll put a picture of Phil up in the box.
I think so, but no, and I think that the way that things are currently structured, with a 12-team playoff, you're going to try with the ESPN conference and the FOX conference to try to get as many teams from your TV contracts into that 12. And, you can win all the conference championships in the world you want, but if you don't survive the 12-team playoff, look, you could be a 1 and you get bumped in the playoff structure and you're done. And so
I want to be a fly on the wall during those discussions, and it's going to be like how many teams are going to get screwed because of who their TV contract is with.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, we have to equal out the Fox schools and the ESPN schools.
Yeah.
And wait, these guys are on NBC/Peacock. So
Notre Dame gets included in there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh no, they'll probably get excluded because they don't got a
they're
not contributing anything to that discussion.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
screw them anyway, but
screw them anyway. No,
join a conference already.
Yeah, and
get off your high horse.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just look. I don't know how you can match the numbers in bulk in a conference setting, but when it comes through surviving a playoff, we almost tongue in cheek talk about South Dakota State and what we see in 1AA, D2, and D3. Those are the ones like Coach Stig at South Dakota State, John Gallardi at St. John's in Division III, how they managed to go through their schedules and their conference and their playoff structure, which has been there a lot longer than it has been in Division I. And FCS, D2, and D3, we know who the legends are there. Will we know who the legends are going to be in Division I going forward? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. And how long is it going to be Division I? Are we going to go back to 1, then 1A, then 1AA when they make their switch?
Yeah,
because it's coming.
But the Scully availabilities, yeah.
NFC, Fox, ESPN.
Yeah. This will not surprise at all. Not a bit.
Yes, which leads us to what got us into this conversation. This all had a direct impact on Washington because the replacement for Nick Saban is none other than University of Washington head coach, now former University of Washington head coach, Kalen DeBoer.
Man.
Who got that one on their bingo card?
Well, considering Jimmy Sexton for one. But
you see that coming when you started looking at the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, but you look at all of the coaches with the buyouts, and Norvell gets an 8-year deal at 10 per, or 10-year deal at 8 per. I forget what the numbers are. It's 80 million, whatever it is. Then you end up with Sark getting an extension. Norvell gets an extension. You're looking at release clauses and payouts where you're going.
Don't forget the show cause is coming.
Yeah, so and then you look at buyouts and these kinds of things, and it looked like DeBoer was the one on the board. Full disclosure, I've covered him since his time at Sioux Falls as a coach, and knew that he was going to be special in whatever sphere he decided to be in, starting at the University of Sioux Falls in the NAIA and working his way through the OCs and all of that stuff. I did not anticipate him, going to Alabama as a part of his CV.
Heck of a journey.
But I'm just, he was overwhelmed by the folks that met him at the landing strip. He was overwhelmed by the folks that were outside I think it was the AD's house, and they're chanting his name. And he was bringing his OC in, which once again leads to something we'll talk about in the next segment, about where not all the players that are there last year are going to be there this year, and it includes some very important players. So piece of trivia, Marty. The first conference game for DeBoer in 2024 is against Georgia in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Where you have 2 assistant coaches who were on the Saban staff heading to Georgia, including Tommy Rees.
Wow.
You got Tommy Rees
Gee,
heading.
is that going to be the late game?
I
I'll
mean,
go on a limb.
yeah, I mean that might be prime time, but you got Tommy Rees apparently heading over. You got T-Rob heading over, trying to figure out if he's going to be a full DC, and Muschamp goes to an analyst position. What?
What are the news about Tommy Rees?
I mean, that's what folks are saying. Tommy Rees is going to UGA.
It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
I mean, all the
I love Phil's look of shock, and I think we're going to have to take a snapshot of it.
but I mean, it's just you're going.
It hasn't happened yet.
No, but
As of this recording,
yeah,
at 2:31 Central Time.
But you're
on Monday, January 15th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you're Tommy Rees is a part of the discussion, and you
How
have
many players are jumping? I know Alabama safety already.
I know he's not going to be the offensive coordinator because they're not going to get rid of Mike Bobo, not after last season.
Oh no. I'm not saying that you're getting rid of Mike Bobo. I'm not saying that at all.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But if you are
It don't have to make sense, just make dollars.
If you are trying to weaken your number one enemy, God, I feel like I'm quoting Sun Tzu in The Art of War. If you are trying to weaken your strongest enemy, what do? You pull the lieutenants from your enemy and you make them your own.
Right, and they already did that with Alabama's best recruiter, Coach Robinson.
Yeah, you got T-Rob coming over, and he's going to be a part of the defense, and I think he's going to be either co-DC or full DC. And like I said, Muschamp's going to be
a multi-million-dollar quality control assistant.
Yeah, so Muschamp wants to go spend time with his son, who's playing, I think, at Vanderbilt. So he wants to go see him on Saturdays before his college career is over. I get it, but there's talk. Tommy Rees.
If he's playing at Vandy, you're gonna have to go to see that in person because it's not gonna be on TV anywhere.
True, and you get lost in the construction zone in the end zone where the scoreboard is hung off of a crane. But I mean, you got T-Rob coming over right now. Talk about pulling a lieutenant. And there's, like I said, seriously, Tommy Rees right now is developing in one of the biggest free agent polls that you could possibly have, considering that the OC from Washington is being brought over by DeBoer. So, good luck. Good luck. Fantastic coach, but good luck.
Well, getting back to where this kind of circular conversation started.
We always have circular conversations.
Is Kalen DeBoer going to be somebody who can? Is the SEC going to be a little? Well, I know it's the answer to this question. That is it going to be a culture shock to him?
It already is,
because I don't think if you've never been around the SEC in person to experience it, I don't think there's anything you could do to prepare yourself for it. Is there, Marty?
Oh God, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to bring somebody in with you to help, like, just one, listen behind your back of what everything else is going on, and then two, just to have a sense of normalcy and keep it grounded. I mean, what's the budget he's leaving, and what's the budget he's going into?
But
40.
I mean, that's a culture shock, just without all the other craziness that comes to the SEC. Just what he's going to have at his disposal. I mean.
But the biggest problem right now is what they're saying about the boosters. Nick Saban could keep the boosters in line. He could tell them to stay the blank away from his football team. He kept them in line. They donated. They saw the success. They laid out. I don't think you're going to have that same kind of impact and interest. I mean, this is not a plug and play with the big boosters in Tuscaloosa.
They're all salvage.
This is like
when Bill Parcells left the Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like everybody, all the people in Jerry's circle had to chill out while Parcells was there. And as soon as he left, oh my God, everything went crazy.
And so right now, the boosters and the NIL that were there for Saban, they're not just going to sit there. From what I understand, they're not just going to sit there and go, we'll just roll it over. No, it is not going to be that way for DeBoer. And you wonder how many of these boosters and how much of this NIL is going to stay and how much of it has to truly be sweet talked to come back if they don't, and what's it going to take? Oh, I want to say in the pro, the conversations behind the scenes in Tuscaloosa for keeping the financials in place.
They got a new coach and 10 GMs now.
Yeah, that's the part I'm really going to be curious to see. Can Kalen DeBoer be that guy who draws the line in the sand with those people and say, okay, you're not interfering anymore, stay out of my team, but we want your money.
I hate to say this, his success is going to be determined off the field than more so on it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's just rough. And then what's going to happen? I know you think I'm saying too much about it, Phil, but the Michigan stuff, the coach is interviewing today with the Chargers.
Yeah, great. Fantastic.
The quarterback with a year of eligibility, but only threw 10 passes, national championship game, is declaring for the draft. The running back's declaring for the draft. If that doesn't tell you something's coming.
Well, I mean, look, you look at what's going on there, and I can tell you right now, and we're already seeing half of this discussion, that Jim Harbaugh will cause Dean Spanos and David Tepper to have a stupid off battle when it comes to trying to figure out how much they want to pay their new head football coach.
And it's basically Rock'em Sock'em Robots with two morons.
I mean, you're going to see, seriously.
You're stupid. No, I'm stupid. If you'll put that on the loop. It's going to be like that one Super Bowl clip from the old NFL films where you got the guys with the two little robots punching each other with the plastic helmet you got from Dairy Queen on.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Money blow. Money blow.
I mean, look, and he's down for the count. I mean, no, you're going to have Dean Spanos, and as the Chargers fan on this show, Dean Spanos and David Tepper are going to have a stupid off. They're going to sit there. No, he's paying you what? Well, I'll pay you this. No, I'll pay you this, and I'll give you your own subdivision. You get a plot of land. You get an island. It's going to be that dumb.
Dude, you're giving Dean Spanos way more credit than I would for spending that kind of money.
Dean Spanos, I'm seriously, you don't need a whole lot of smarts to open up a wallet and put a number on a piece of paper. That don't mean nothing.
Yeah, these teams are they're $1 billion corporations, but they're still run like a mom and pop.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see Tepper throwing sick money at Jim Harbaugh or whoever the heck interests him as being a head coach.
Himself.
Yeah. The Spanos is not exactly known for being big spenders. The other part of the Washington train, after DeBoer leaves, along comes the fish.
And this is the other part of all of this.
I feel bad for those guys down in Arizona.
Jed Fish gets Arizona back to respectability, and just like that, he's gone.
I mean, well, and Kalen, I get the idea. DeBoer, there was a team meeting at 4:30 that afternoon. It was slated for 4:30, and I get the idea. You don't want to text 150 people and do a group text or a WhatsApp or whatever. Hey,
or leave notes in the locker room.
Yeah, yeah, like that.
Kelly.
I mean, that you don't do stuff like that. But I understand the idea of wanting to have a team meeting and everything. But apparently, Jed Fish just decided to bolt, and he's like, "Oh, look at that shiny object,"
and fish out of water.
And Jed Fish is going. He did a fantastic job at Arizona, and he pissed off a lot of kids in Tucson.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the Tucson?
Word like that comes back around.
Who's gonna take his spot?
Mike McCarthy might need a job.
Yeah, again, another topic for another type of show, not a college football show, but yes.
Until Arizona pulls in
I've seen a lot of bad Bill Belichick photoshops with stars on his sweats, on his
absolutely
cut off sleeves.
Belichick and McDaniels to Dallas. That's happening.
Oh, dude. I mean, they all but swear he's coming here to Atlanta.
No. I mean, respect to the Cowboys for making an attempt. We were watching that game while eating with in-laws, and we left, and then we get home, and all of a sudden it's a 2-score game. We're like, what?
Yeah, we may or may not have been laughing really hard at that. Guys, what do you say we go to halftime here? We've talked
halftime.
Talked a lot about coaches and championship games and who's good at what and who fits at what. When we come back in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about players hopscotching to the NFL and through the transfer portal, all that and more. When we come back for the second half of the review. You are listening to the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. FOOTBALL. College football version here with the college football review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with two O's, but football with a U, FUTBOL, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports, do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You have made it to the second half of the show. Guys, we talked so much at the beginning of the show about championship games and coaches moving around, but we didn't really talk about players. And there are a whole bunch of things that we should update here. The biggest one probably being, to the surprise of pretty much nobody, USC quarterback Caleb Williams has officially said he is going to enter the draft. However, he also kind of subtly let it be known he didn't want any part of going to Chicago, who has the number one pick.
Well, a lot of
and
that's
a reputation for ruining quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, and a lot of that's going to depend on whether Justin Fields actually stays or if he ends up being some kind of trade bait. Yeah, it was pretty painful watching the QB play and the offense at times in Chicago last year. But Caleb Williams leaving, JJ McCarthy leaving,
Their coach
leaving, Blake Corum leaving. I mean, you have all of these folks that are declaring for the draft, and the University of Georgia had a bunch of folks that declared as well, but they're just going to reload. I think they're actually looking for.
Bama has lost a guy or two, and now that all these coaching changes, that gives players an additional window to decide to leave.
You're also loaded in the draft this coming year with quarterbacks. I mean,
yeah, you got that guy that threw 10 passes in the national championship game who can't read defenses.
Yeah, I mean,
he never has to.
I mean, yeah, it's what Nix, Penix, McCarthy, Williams,
Drake May from North Carolina.
So what's JJ gonna go? What round's he in?
4. It's got to be 4. It can't be anything.
You're talking second or third round pick because he's a quarterback and he won games.
He handed off.
I mean,
it would be a mistake for somebody to draft him in a first round pick, but that doesn't.
Jesus.
I mean, Drake May, Caleb Williams,
of course, go Chargers.
Jaden Daniels.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Jaden Daniels going into the draft this year.
Jaden Daniels would be, for me, he would be ahead of a lot of those folks if you put him in the correct offensive structure.
Yeah, you got guys that should be on their second NFL contract age-wise in the draft.
Bond is going from Bama to Texas. That is portaling news. Milroe is in the portal as well because now.
See, Milroe's in the portal too.
You missed these things.
If I've been stuck in the desert somewhere.
I mean, literally, it was this afternoon
Oh.
as we were discussing things when you were in the.
Phil went directly from car to podcast, so give the man some slack.
Yeah, he entered the portal. So he's leaving the Crimson Tide. He is portaling. Now, this is the other element of this.
That was news to me too, Phil. So
Jalen Milroe enters the portal because DeBoer and his OC are coming from Washington to Tuscaloosa. Will Rogers, the quarterback at Mississippi State, portaled, and he portaled to Washington. So when DeBoer left to go to Tuscaloosa, guess what? You had a double portal. Rogers portals from Starkville to UW, and then with a coaching change, it opens up again for another 30 days. He portals from Washington to Tuscaloosa. And why do you think Jalen Milroe portaled? Because Will Rogers double portaled. It's insane. It's the Wild West, people, but sure, for an NIL, go ahead and penalize Florida State on something like that, but you can double portal in a 30-day period. Fantastic. Great rule.
Works for this.
Yeah, literally, we need a 6 by 8 foot dry erase board where we can sit there and do arrows and lines and different colors and everything. That's what portaling is doing. And
this sounds a lot like the other thing happening today, the UFL dispersal draft.
Okay. Before we get all into this,
yeah,
sounds like this may be a gag.
What?
A troll account on, guess what? Twitter X.
Oh, never knew that.
Is it Adam Schefter spelled incorrectly again? Because that usually gets a lot of people. I can't remember which one it was last year, but even though an NFL insider fake tweeted something about a college team.
All right, so fine. Milroe does not intend to enter the transfer portal as of 2 days.
Maybe that's his friend testing the waters at the fake account.
Yeah, I feel much better now. I thought I was losing my mind because I usually have at least some tabs on what's going on in the world, but that one was like, what?
So Isaiah Bond is going to Texas. That much we know. So I retract my statement about Jalen Milroe portaling, but Milroe and Will Rogers, but you still end up with a double portal, though. You still end up with a double portal these days.
I don't think the Will Rogers thing is necessarily correct either. I'm going to have to double check.
Dylan Raiola or something? Changing his mind that many times?
Raiola declared for Georgia, and then on signing day, he flipped. That's a flip. That's not a portal.
Yeah, but he flipped twice before that, and the guys went to 4 different high schools.
Yes, Will Rogers has entered the transfer portal again.
Double
but he is not heading to Alabama.
So where is he going?
That is the question.
He's going to that Dr. Pepper commercial.
No, that's Caleb Williams.
That's Caleb Williams with the Dr. Pepper portaling. So
but he's gonna be the guy that gets spit out though back at him.
I mean,
they could throw him back. I don't know.
But I mean, just the fact that you have a double portal because if there's a coaching change, your portal opens up another 30-day window.
Because why not?
I mean, you have 5 players from UW entering the portal.
Mm-hmm.
Jabbar Muhammad, Michelle Powell, Ethan Barr, Trey Watson, and your double portaled quarterback, Will Rogers. Sure, why not?
And that's the guys. That doesn't even count for the guys they lose in the draft. Which
and then there's somebody got a paycheck down in Miami too.
Yeah,
Dylan Morris and Will Haskell entered the portal for UW. I mean, whatever. It's as a cardinal rule, just do not be surprised when you see student athletes who sit there and they're like, you know what? I'm not getting playing time, or I want to win a title, and you see them portal. It's just the way of the world these days.
Now, that being said, Marty's favorite team returns running back Donovan Edwards.
Donovan Edwards?
The backup to Blake Corum?
Sure. Okay, great. Fine.
Sure.
Good work.
Is he going to stay after the coaching change?
Probably so.
So you got
Their backup Michigan's backup quarterback looks good.
and
They brought him in on a couple special packages, and he's got some speed.
Yeah, so you lose Chris Jenkins, Jalen Harrell, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and Josiah Stewart stay. Stewart portaled from Coastal Carolina. You know, when you're behind Grayson McCall, I'm sorry, it's an edge rusher. I was thinking quarterback, but no, I mean, you're portaling from Coastal Carolina to a position of need, allegedly, at Michigan. So, look, as I said, do not be surprised of anything in these portals where you have Go Fivers portaling to Power Fives because of your position of need. But the trickle-down effect, once again, that we talk about this in portaling is the fact that all of these recruits from National Signing Day that declare for a particular school, they better damn well have it all locked in place because of all of the portaling going on. And if it was me, I would push the portaling window until after the championships and go from the day of the final game to National Signing Day in February. Let that be your portal window instead of just whenever the hell you can. And if it's 30 days, you get an extra 30 days on a coaching chain.
Treat the school kids fairly.
I would add, Marty, that your favorite school, Ohio State, had a good offseason in the portal as well.
Yeah.
Picking up Will Howard and former Ole Miss running back Quinshawn Judkins.
And
there are 3 studs in that backfield now.
Getting Judkins was a steal because of how he wasn't recruited in his home state in the first place. He wanted to stay he was an Auburn kid. Brian Harzan, in all of his wisdom, basically ignored Quinshawn Judkins, who was Mr. Football in the state of Alabama, in a rushing at running back. Basically, he's just like, nah. So he goes to Ole Miss, does what he does at Ole Miss, portals again, and now he's at TOSU. That's a hell of a get. Legitimately a hell of a get, getting Quinshawn Judkins to go from an SEC school to Ohio State University. But the knock-on effect is all of these schools that recruit these positions on signing day back in December, now with the portal window opening up, it forces these kids who have declared once again to either stick with it if the school continues to portal at your position, or they don't recruit you, or they rescind your letter. Because remember, these are 1-year scholarships. This is not a 4 or a 5-year deal. These are 1-year contracts that are sent to student athletes. So the knock-on effect of portaling to affect signing day to go from Power 5 to Go 5, or Power 5 to lesser Power 5, or Go 5 to 1AA, 1AA to D2, D2, D3.
I feel like we need a conspiracy map with lines.
Well, that's what you're getting.
It is.
Knock-on effect of everything that starts with the poor portaling windows and National Signing Day colliding in December before the bowl games now forces student athletes either they were getting recruited, but then on signing day they don't get signed because of the portaling that goes on, and you can improve your position with those of experience and not the 17 and 18-year-old kid coming in.
Yeah, and you got kids with backup schools that are already full.
Right. And so you're looking for your backup of your backup. And to the original point of this conversation in the B block about all this portaling going on, portaling creates all of these issues. And to, once again, the power boardroom that is the NCAA, making sure that all of these things happen all at once. And it is like the Demolition Derby episode of Happy Days.
What?
With
how do we get to that?
Unfortunately, it's about to be the. I get where you're going, but it's getting to the point of jumping the shark as well in the same.
It is. I mean, you're at the point of where the Malachi brothers are chasing after Pinky Descadero, and you have all of these collisions happening, and all of these, the Malachi brothers are taking out all the competition, and they're waiting there for Pinky Descadero, whose car can't move. That's where we are right now with portaling and transfers and signing days. But to Marty's point, it's to the point to where Fonzie is about to jump the fountain in front of Arnold's.
Yeah, because you got these kids that just got their 30-day windows a couple days ago. Then there's going to be How many NFL coaching jobs are open?
One,
We're gonna
two,
get more.
All right.
three,
Just saying,
four.
we're gonna get more than we currently
You're
have.
going to get a couple more 30-day windows opening up when a couple people leave because, if one coach leaves, he's
But
going to.
you don't see coaches making the jump from college to the NFL quite as much as you used to.
Yeah. I mean, there's
they have-
one that's getting targeted right now.
Well, he's an exception because he went from the NFL to college as opposed to the other way around.
But still, it's a coaching change and it's a 30-day window that opens up.
Yeah. Then who's he going to grab? Well, who wants to work with him?
Right.
Who's he going to grab? Because, he takes somebody from a smaller school with him. Who's going to be left where he's at? Who's he going to grab? Those can open up little ones because, all of a sudden you grab an OC from a Power 5 because you can't get the other people you want. Or you get one lower because you're not easy to work with. There's a lot of dominoes that are going to fall after those kind of coaching changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's the only one that could make that jump from college to the NFL. The others, I don't think that's happening.
You never know.
Never know how crazy owners can be. If they're going to spend money to try to bring in a big name, they'll spend money to try to bring in the hot commodity.
I live in Dallas, so I don't underestimate a crazy owner.
Exactly.
Because we've got them in the majority of the sports here.
It's floored.
Yeah, on several different levels.
Yep.
Guys, what do you say we wrap things up here? We've kind of blathered on for almost an hour.
We haven't blathered on. We're trying to solve the issues of what's going on here in college football.
Stay tuned for upcoming conspiracy theory episode.
Yes. Then
We're gonna have to get on Amazon, order a couple dry erase boards, and have that as each of our backgrounds.
correct. And then
And that might take longer than an hour.
yeah, and then helicopters. You'll hear helicopters in the background, and you'll see.
I'm
videos.
hiring Jack Reacher for mine.
There you go. That's just make sure that you dump the right guy out of the airplane, out of the helicopter. Okay, there's your season 2 tease for the last
To
episode.
sum things up, we went from Michigan winning the championship to
Asterisks.
Ben.
A happy days on the Malachi Crunch.
Don't forget San Diego State University.
Aztecs.
We covered a lot.
We left them out. South Dakota, we should have talked about a little more. Go Jackrabbits.
Go Jacks.
They own everybody. I can't wait to see them play up a level next year.
Pro Rel for Division 1. Take out a team in the Big 12 or the B1G and sub in South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and make it happen now.
Relegation is coming.
Exactly.
Another show for another time, guys. It's time to wrap things up.
Bye.
This far in the show, thank you for sticking around. We do appreciate it. Your attendance has been noted, and we are grateful for it.
You're on the sheet. You made it.
For Brother Marty, for OSG Nelson, I am OSG Phil. We are the Online Sports Guys team. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will catch you again, hopefully, in another week.
Please like and subscribe.